Welcome back. We will continue with the topic of cybersecurity, and in this particular video, we are going to be focusing on two major threats, which are distributed denial of service or DDoS attacks and hacking. Now, most students already know something about hacking or they think they do, but they always end up messing up exam questions because they write very generally and not specifically. So the focus in this video for you, if you know a bit about hacking, is to make sure that you use the key terms and make sure that the correct definitions are applied. We'll look at all of that in a moment. But let's start with distributed denial of service attacks. A denial of service attack is an attempt at preventing users from accessing part of a network, notably an internet server. So if you've got a company, an e-commerce company like say Amazon, and you're serving a lot of customers, if we overload your web server with useless requests, you can't serve genuine customers. So your sales suffer, which means you lose money. And it doesn't have to be money as well. Sometimes the attacker just wants the user to not be able to access their emails or certain web pages or even services like banking. So you flood the network with useless spam traffic so genuine traffic can't get through. Now, this is usually temporary, but it could be very damaging and could lead to a large breach of security. It doesn't just affect networks, individuals can also be a target for such attack. Often we assume that it's only going to be big companies that get a DDoS attack or a DOS attack, but no, it could be anyone. So to carry out a DDoS attack, a perpetrator will first create a botnet or a network of computers. Now these computers have a bit of malware installed on them. They act normally, they act like zombies until you send a wake-up call to them. And the moment they get a wake-up call, they start hitting the target server or the target computer or the target network. Now the diagram on the right-hand side of your screen highlights that. The perpetrator is controlling a lot of computers online, and all of these computers are targeting one particular network or server. What exactly happens? When a user enters a website's URL in their browser, we normally send a request to a web server that contains the website or the page or the service we want. Now, the server can only handle a finite number of requests. If it becomes overloaded by an attacker who's sending out thousands of requests, it won't be able to service another user's genuine connection request. This is effectively a denial of service because the web server cannot serve a genuine request. It denies it. Now, in a distributed denial of service, the spam traffic originates from many different computers. It's distributed. Whereas in a denial of service, it only originates from one computer. And that's easy to fix because once you know the IP address of the targeted attacker, you can block it. But when you have a distributed denial of service attack, the traffic comes from everywhere. So you don't know who to block. And that's very difficult to defend against. Now, we already spoke about that this doesn't just happen to big companies, but also to individual users. So if I didn't want you to get your email, I could spam your inbox with useless emails. And that will overload your email account, which means that you won't receive legitimate emails, which could be a business contract or something highly important. So how does it actually work? Well, to conduct a DDoS attack, the attacker needs to set up a botnet. And a botnet is a network of computers which take part in the attack, but you must first set them up by installing malware or malicious software on them so you can take control of them when you need them. Now, these computers are called a zombie because just like zombies, they just lay about, don't do anything until they smell some blood, and then they go crazy. So when a wake up signal is sent to these computers with a target, they all start attacking the target. And they attack the target by flooding the target with lots of useless access requests. Now, how do you defend against these type of attacks? Well, an individual user or a website can guard against these attacks to some degree by using an up-to-date malware checker. So make sure that first you don't get malware, so your computer acts as a zombie in a botnet. You can set up a firewall to restrict traffic to and from the web server. You can apply email filters to filter out unwanted traffic if, for example, your email account is being spammed. You can set up something called a proxy server, which acts as a buffer between you and the internet. And there are certain signs a user can also look out for to see if they become a victim of a DDoS attack. There's slow network performance, inability to access certain websites, and then large amounts of spam email reaching the user's email account. Kind of gives you a hint. So always check your spam traffic once in a while and see, well, if you're generally getting about 5 a day and suddenly you start getting 500, that's quite an obvious sign that you're under attack. Okay, that's all there is about DDoS. You need to be able to define terms like botnets, zombies, how they can flood a network with requests, in effect denying genuine users from service. So that's denial of service, and then some solutions. We'll look at the solutions in a bit more depth later on in the video series, but that's all you need to know for now. Okay, let's look at hacking. Hacking is generally the act of gaining access to a computer system without the user's permission. So the term unauthorized access is really important in a hacking definition. And this can lead to things like identity theft or the gaining of personal information. Data can be deleted, it can be passed on to a third party, it can be changed or corrupted. Now, one common mistake that students make is they simply say that encryption prevents hacking. No, it doesn't. Encryption only makes the data scrambled or unreadable to the hacker, but the hacker will still hack your system and get that encrypted data. It doesn't stop them from deleting, corrupting, or passing on the data because encryption really doesn't stop hacking. So never give this as a solution to hacking. Now, hacking can generally be prevented through the use of firewalls, automatic software updates to plug in any security holes, strong authentication methods like biometrics and two-step verification. They all help in reducing the risk from hacking. There is anti-hacking software and intrusion detection software, which also fight against the act of hacking, but you can't get 100% defense against hacking. Now, hacking is generally illegal in most countries. However, universities and companies now run courses in ethical hacking. And ethical hacking basically means that there is authorization. That means you ask the hacker or a security consultant to check out the security measures and test their robustness by genuinely hacking the system. So you invite the hack in a controlled environment to make sure that you can put some safeguards against hacking. So ethical hacking occurs with the user's permission, whereas illegal hacking occurs without the user's permission. Okay, that's all I want to talk about hacking because most people generally know a thing or two about this. Please make sure that you do not talk about encryption as a defense to hacking. There are other better measures out there, including firewalls, automatic software updates, strong authentication methods. Encryption does not prevent hacking, it just makes things unreadable. All right, that's all for this particular lesson. Hopefully, you should be able to answer the following questions. How is a botnet created by an attacker? How does a DDoS attack operate? How can the impact of a DDoS attack be reduced? What is meant by hacking? Why is encryption not a perfect defense for hacking? How can the risk of hacking be reduced? The answers to these questions are going to be somewhere in the video. So if you don't understand a particular question or how to answer it or get the 3 points or the 2 points, then please go back through the video again or post a comment and I'll get back to you. That's all for now. I'll see you in the next one.